All right. So I guess now you understand what the plan was, going into the weekend. Add speed, competition on defense, plain and simple. We wanted to get athletic, fast players that fit our mold from a talent perspective, which I think we accomplished, but also has the makeup that we want in our locker room. I don't think, Frank and I don't think either one of us can emphasize enough how important that is to us. I mean, y'all have been in there. It's a special group of men, and you don't want to upset the apple cart in terms of who you bring into the building. They have to stand for the same things you stand for. Does it mean that we won't at some point take some shots? No, it doesn't, because once that locker room is the way it is, you hope you can absorb somebody. But right now, adding this group of men that we added, we think it's gonna enhance it even more. They got to prove it. Like any player that comes on to this team and on any team in the league, you got to prove it. But we're excited about where we're at and where we're going. All right, questions?
Was linebacker a bigger area of need than maybe you thought going into it?
All right, so let me put it this way, because it's an important position in our defense, and this is not anything against. We had some good players. I mean, Leonard's a great player. Walker's a good player. We had some young kids come in last year, Adams and Zaire. But if you just think back to 2017, and I want you just to look at the difference in the room, it's a whole different scheme of what we need to play. And you want to have, there's times in Chicago, we would keep 7 linebackers. I'm not saying that's how it'll work out here, but those guys are important, not only your starters, but they play major roles on special teams. They play big roles on special teams. So every guy we drafted, we think can play on 4th down, and that's important, and also has upside to develop.
You traded up 20 spots to get safety.
Yeah.
That need to go. Your desire to do that.
We loved Willis. So it's funny. So our process is we watch. Scouts go out, they work all fall, go through the Senior Bowl. Then February, we spend all this time watching tape. So you're watching every guy. So it's a big list you're watching. You're cutting it down, whittling it down. Then you get the combine. Then you come back in. So then we start watching again. And then Willis, just the more tape we watched on Willis, the more we fell in love with him. We thought about taking him in the 3rd round. It was definitely in consideration. We think he's athletic. We think he's smart. I thought he was probably one of the better tackling safeties in this draft. We think he's going to be a really good fit into that safety room, not only from a talent perspective, but also from a intelligence and character perspective.
Then with the next pick in the round, you go safety, but do you see him as a corner? You see Tell as a corner?
We're gonna experiment there. We see a big, tall athlete that we thought he had a better junior than senior season for whatever reason. We actually sent Jonathan out, Coach Gannon out to work him out as a corner. So we're going to give him a shot at corner. We do think he's got, one of the things we really like. That's why Quincy, I think we undervalue how, these guys are valuable when they can do a lot on game day. Quincy Wilson has developed into not only a good corner, but he slides in, he plays dime. He's highly intelligent, and he can slide and play different roles for you. We think Tell's got that same type of talent. So anytime you got a chance to get a big athlete with long arms, good speed, we think he can do a bunch of different roles. We're going to start him. We're going to play him at corner to start out.
What's the story with E.J. Green? How did you uncover him? Oh, excuse me, E.J. Speed. I keep calling him E.J. Green.
Yeah,
How did you uncover him and did the arrest?
So we No. We do our work. Look, if the character thing, I can't emphasize it enough, kids make mistakes. They make mistakes. That doesn't mean they're bad kids. That doesn't mean they're bad people. Kids make mistakes. He made a mistake. The people he was hanging around, we did our work. You can just look at my history from the Lone Star Conference. Daniel Manning, Johnny Knox, Jamarcus Webb, we drafted. I worked in Kingsville. where I coached all those players. So I know the conference really well. We comb our scout went in there, had a grade on him. He had a great workout. We were combing the numbers. He had an unbelievable workout. We started studying him more. And we just see a guy that's got really big upside as an inside backer. We think he can play Will, Mike, or Sam. I mean, in this scheme, ideally, you would like him to be able to play all three spots. Anthony Walker can line up and play all three spots. Darius Leonard can play all three spots. Those guys are valuable, especially when somebody goes down and you got to flip them. We'll put him at Will to start, but at the end of the day, we're hoping that he can play all three spots.
Frank, I know that, Frank, this was a defensive-oriented draft for you, but just, from a head coaching standpoint, your thoughts on the overall makeup of your roster now coming out of this weekend?
Excited, like Chris said. I mean, this was all about, targeting players that we wanted, with the traits we wanted, with the character we wanted. And as you said, I mean, even though the offensive background, I joked once or twice in the draft room about the defensive nature of the draft, but we had a few laughs about it. But yeah, as the head coach, I just appreciate the whole process, right, and getting better as a team. And the way the board unpeeled, the way Chris had it set up with his staff, it was really kind of like a piece of art to watch it. I mean, just to watch it unfold, everything played out. The decisions seemed to be easy decisions, the way he directed it, the way everybody worked together. So it was a fun process.
What was your defensive coordinator like in during that process? I'm sure Matt had to be
He had a
giddy.
big smile on his face. Yeah, they were cheering. They were cheering in the hall a few times for sure. After every now and then, we got kind of walk out, and all the buzz was coming from the defensive guys for sure.
Nothing like last year. Every time we would take an offensive player, Nick, you would hear these screams from down the hall. Yes, and so Nick was fairly quiet this week.
Depth can be the difference, between, it can make your season. And, there were some times last year where maybe you got hit with some injuries and you had to kind of make some things happen, make some magic happen. What did this draft do for your depth?
I almost go back to, when we got here in 2017 defensively, I knew that was our biggest obstacle and biggest job ahead. And I think, we traded Hassan. And I think now, Matthias and Gathers, that's it, isn't it? That's left from 2 years ago.
Defensively?
Yeah. I knew we had a lot of work to do defensively. And, you got to invest. I mean, you got to invest. And we think we've upgraded the athletic talent with good fits schematically for what we needed to do.
Chris, you've got a lot of guys who are team captains, who all academic, this, that, or the other thing. How do you track character traits? And what role does Brian Decker play in all of that?
Brian plays a big role. And I think Frank's gotten where he does. We overload Brian. He's highly intelligent, he's smart, and he has got a great way to get to the core of who somebody is. And he does a great job training our scouts of what to look for in a player, and also when he's interviewing a player, getting the answers that, the truth, getting the truth of who he is. And through all our research that we do, our scouts, and then also the work of Brian, they come up with when we first hired Brian, it's one of the things we talked about. We wanted to build a team that it gets hard during the season. Y'all know it. Y'all have all been around here long enough. There's times when it's not gonna go the way you want it to go. Well, who digs out of those? People that have the right makeup to get you out of the hole. I really believe last year that was a reason why. I mean, Frank and his staff did an unbelievable job of coaching, one, and then two, you had a locker room of men who weren't going to be denied. So to me, it is important, and it's not just I mean, look, I'm realistic enough that we're not going to have a locker room full of choir boys, and it's not always going to be perfect. And they got to have talent. I mean, talent wins in this league, but when you can get, we say it all the time, when they got talent and character, that's a home run. And there might be somebody on the board who has a little more talent than they do, but this guy's character sticks out so strong that we're taking that guy. We're taking the guy with the character. But he's got to have, there's bottom line. We have bottom lines. You can just look at the guys we drafted. They got bottom lines from a height, weight, and speed standpoint. I mean, we want to be athletic and fast when we play.
It's less about football and more about internal motivation, and those things that are really hard to measure.
Yeah.
But he's able to make some development in that in terms of an area that's really, I mean, he's kind of the first of what he does in some degree.
I don't know if anybody like him in the league. I don't. Fortunate to have him. I think a lot of Brian. He's definitely an asset to us organizationally.
Is Green going to be a linebacker?
Good question.
You mentioned you guys worked him out there, but
We're gonna play a radar defense. We have 11 linebackers standing up. No, we're gonna play him at defensive end. We toyed with, so at the Senior Bowl he played Sam, and we sent Berganzi down to work him out as a Sam, but then at the end of the day we think his best position is going to be at defensive end.
Were you surprised you didn't take an offensive lineman until the final round?
No, we invested pretty heavy in it last year. I mean, we've got all 5 starters back. We got Joe Haig back. We got Bain back. We got Andrews back. We re-signed Jamarcus Webb. So we think we've got a good core group. And then with the 2 last draft picks, that gives us some more competition at the position.
How is your thinking on the whole character issue, good and bad, how has that evolved over the years?
I've matured. I mean, look, I'm into giving second chances. I mean, my wife always tells me, Chris, you think you can save everybody. I mean, it's just at my core, that's who I am, and I do. But I also have learned that when you take somebody that does have issues, even though they're really good, the strain it puts upon not only coaching staff, but the locker room and other players, because they got to answer questions too. So we're selective. I don't want to sit here and say we'll never take a shot, because I know me well enough, and there'll come a point when we do. But it's going to be one that we've researched. We feel comfortable that we can handle it, and there's a humbleness inside of him that he's been remorseful and he wants to fit into our locker room.
Chris,
So you
does
signed-
along that line, does the Kansas City situation jolt you and maybe harden you against that or not?
No, I'm not gonna get into Kansas City. Yeah.
One of the things I was going to say about the character thing that Chris and I talk about a lot is that every player, I look at every player and I do the math, and there's like there's a multiplying effect, right? So when you get the guys with the high character, it's not just about who they are and what they're doing, but it's about when you run the schemes through them, when you run them through the locker room, they spit out an output that, something goes in one side and comes out the other, and the higher the character, the bigger the multiplier. Some guys have a low multiplier. That means you get what you put in, end of story. Other guys just seem to have a way of making that number come out the other side bigger, making everything and everybody around them better. That's what the high character guys do.
And the reverse can happen.
And the reverse can happen.
If you have the wrong people in there.
Chris, do you know yet if you'll pick up Ryan Kelly's 5th-year option?
Yes, we are. We will pick it up.
Will you guys
Yeah.
sign fewer undrafted guys this year?
They're working on it right now. So I think it's 8, 9 guys that we're going to sign, I think. They were finishing it up in the draft room when I walked out.
You didn't pick a running back today. Is that something you could go back and revisit in free agency now, or are you set at that position?
Yeah, well, we're looking at the undrafted market right now, and there's still some guys that we like out there on the street. I mean, look, we drafted, Marlon Mack, and we drafted, Hines and Wilkins a year ago, and we like all three of them, and we like Williams. I mean, I kind of beat the drum to that one. We think we got a pretty good stable of backs, and we'll try to add a couple more here in the next, week or two.
In a non-draft question, how is Deion Kane doing?
He's doing good. I'm proud of Deion Kane. You know what's so there you go. Here's a guy that the world stamped as a character issue. No reason Deion Kane should have fell to the 6th round, but he's got into our building, and Deion Kane's a great kid. I mean, he is. He works, does everything right, and it's hard. When you get hurt, at any point, you almost feel ostracized when you're hurt because you're not playing, you're not practicing, you're not doing the things that everybody else is doing, so it's hard. I'm very proud of Deion, of who he is, what he stands for, how he's working, how he's taking care of his business. He's still got work to do, and he's still going to be a young player. But let me tell you, we're happy we have Deion Kane on the roster.
There's one thing with the undrafted guys who you're going to sign, whatever. You guys got this streak going of whatever is 18 or 19 years where one makes the roster. Are you getting to the point, or do you want to get to the point where that's just going to be really, really hard for those guys to make it?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I first took the job, I think I told y'all that I know we're getting it right when we're cutting players and they're going and playing for other teams. When you got a roster of, so you're getting a 53, I always make the count. When we get our roster to about 60, 65 guys, and that 54 through 65 is all of a sudden popping up other places, and that number might be a little high, but that's when you know you're getting it right. I don't know if we're there yet, but we're a lot closer than we were.
Chris, how much did not taking a defensive lineman until late say what you believe in Turay and Lewis?
Well, yeah, we drafted them both in the 2nd round. I mean, what's amazing to me is, we all expect them to be Darius Leonard and Quentin Nelson, right out the bat. Let's all pro it, and that's not the real world. Most of the time, defensive linemen take time to develop. We like Lewis and we like Turay. You just look at I like our inside guys. Autry, good player. We re-signed Hunt. You got Lewis, who's got flexibility at the 3 and at end. You got Grover Stewart, who I think can take a whole nother step. We forget about Ward, who we brought in last year and put on the practice squad. So we like Ward. And then at end, you got Sheard Muhammad, who we claim, who plays his butt off, and we like. We signed Justin Houston. You got Turay. Banagoo has rush, and we can do some things with him. And then you add Green into the mix. I like our stable of front people. It's hard. And then you just keep throwing numbers at it and people at it. And these young players, you got to play them and let them develop and let them make mistakes and let them fail. That's why the character piece is so important, because they're going to fail. They're going to have crappy moments, and they got to be able to overcome it. That's why the character is so critical for these guys.
Frank, you guys obviously always emphasize competition. To fast forward a little bit, when we get to the end of August, early September, you guys got some tough decisions. Do you think that's going to be how much more difficult do you anticipate those decisions being this year?
Yeah, I'm looking at the board in there right now as the names are being put up there, and I'm saying, this is going to be tough, and it's hard because you develop a closeness and a bond to every one of these players. You just know that's the nature of the business. And the good thing is guys are pros. They know this is the cream of the crop. This is the best of the best. It's the NFL. And every year it's going to happen. As a player, you welcome it because you know it brings out the best in you. And so it'll be tough decisions.
You start on-field stuff, I think, on Monday.
Yes.
You think you're going to have a few veterans that kind of will hop on their step?
I think our guys always come to work, to be honest with you. Come with that mindset. I think that mindset's been from day one. I hope there's some good energy, but my experience with these guys, the group we have here, it doesn't take much to get these guys motivated.
Frank, Jim Irsay was saying that Quentin wanted to call all the draft picks and kind of let them know what this organization was about. What does that say about just where the foundation is?
Yeah, number one, from a second-year player. Number two, from an offensive lineman. Normally that's a vet. Normally it's the quarterback, and I know Andrew's doing similar things, I'm sure, with people. So, it just goes to speak to Quentin. and the kind of leadership that he brings to the team. And he knows what the horseshoe is all about. And at being a second-year player, to have that kind of leadership is pretty incredible.
Chris, do you have a
Yeah,
number
last one
yet
right
on
now.
undrafted free agents you're shooting for?
What's that?
Do you have a number on undrafted free agents?
I think we're 7 or 8. We're working on it right now. Yeah, they're working on the numbers right now.
And a bunch of tryout guys as well.
Yeah, we'll have tryout. We'll have a big number. Yeah.
All right.
Thank y'all.
guys.
Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all's patience this weekend. Yeah.